Welcome to Caskets and Cocktails, Memoirs of a Cemetery Dude. Get ready for a hilarious dive into the world of death care where cemetery industry veteran Mr. Danny and his daughter Katie will answer all those crazy questions you've been dying to ask. Go ahead and pour yourself a drink, pull up a rocking chair, and get ready for some laughs because we guarantee Caskets and Cocktails will be the last ones to let you down.
Hey guys, welcome to Caskets and Cocktails. I'm Katie Leverett.
I'm Danny Faulkner. I'm her daddy.
And this is our very first full-length episode, and we are so super excited that you decided to hit subscribe and join us. So guess what, Dad?
What?
We launched our first introduction about a week ago, and we have 971 followers on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
And we have 173 Instagram followers, and 58 people have already hit subscribe to this podcast. So,
wow.
I think we're doing pretty good for the first week. What do you think?
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Have you ever been on Instagram?
I don't even know what Instagram is. Is that what Donald Trump goes on?
No, that's Twitter.
Oh, okay.
The only bummer is we only have 3 YouTube subscribers, and one of them is me.
Oh, well, I think everybody out there needs to get on the ball.
Yeah.
What's their problem?
I know, right? So for you guys out there, if you don't know, we do have a YouTube channel, which apparently only 2 other people know. And you can go out and you can hit subscribe to our YouTube, and you can actually watch us do live recordings of our podcast, which I think is really pretty awesome. So, how about we hop in and get started? What do you think?
I think that's wonderful. I'm following your lead.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, we utilize Anchor to record our podcasts, and if you download the Anchor app, you can call in and leave us a voicemail. And we actually have already gotten quite a few voicemails from people, which I'm really excited about.
Really? Okay.
It's shocking, right? I can't believe that they called. So, we're going to hold for 1 second. I'm going to play everybody at home a clip, an audio clip, and then we're going to debrief and talk about it. How's that sound?
Okie dokie.
Hey, Katie and Mr. Danny. This is Jess in Nashville. I just have to know, what is the craziest thing that you have ever buried in a casket along with a person? Inquiring minds want to know in Nashville. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Jess in Nashville. That is really an awesome question, and I totally want to know what's something weird that you've buried with a body.
Well, in that I am a cemetery guy. I've worked in funeral homes, but I am a cemetery guy called cemeterians. When you bring a casket to the cemetery, we do not open it. Even if there's funeral directors there, we don't open it. There have been 2 times in 35 years that I have allowed caskets to be open in the cemetery. And one was to take stuff out, and one was to put stuff in.
Oh my.
So to answer her question, it's kind of a long story. We got a call from a funeral home in the town where I own some cemeteries, and they said, "Listen, we're gonna have a real big funeral at your small country cemetery." And I said, "Well, that's fine. That's wonderful. That's great." He said, "No, you don't get it." He said, "It's a biker gang." And I said, "What?"
Like bicycles or like...
No, like motorcycles.
Oh.
He said that the cops came in on this guy at his home. It was a raid or whatever. And he took off running, jumped on his motorcycle and took off. Evidently it was a drug thing. And the guy had a wreck and got killed.
Oh my.
Yeah. And he was a member of the Outlaws motorcycle gang, which they're not known for teaching Sunday school class.
I mean, I kind of gathered by being called the Outlaws. That sounds a little scary.
Yeah, and they're they're opposed to the Hells Angels. They don't like each other. And their motto is adios. Angels die in outlaw states.
Oh my.
Yeah, they're bad boys.
That is not, I don't think I want to hang out with those dudes.
No, if you go into a bar and see one, you want to buy him a beer because you want him on your side.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But anyway, he called me and he told me, he said, yeah, we're going to have it on such and such. And I said, well, I just make sure everybody behaves. He said, that's your cemetery. You make sure everybody behaves. And I thought, I'm in trouble.
So how many people were you thinking a big, 50 people maybe?
I was thinking maybe 50 to 80 people.
That's a big funeral.
Yeah, for especially a small country cemetery. And so I didn't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. So I was at the cemetery the day of the burial and making sure that everybody was doing things right and everything was set up properly. Mm-hmm. And my dad was there. And the boys got through digging the hole.
Now, tell them why your dad was there.
My dad and I owned 4 cemeteries.
Uh-huh.
And he was in charge of maintenance and he was in charge of grounds. Uh-huh. And I was in charge of sales and administration and trusting and all that sort of stuff. So he was there. And we got through digging the grave and setting up the grave with the tent and the chairs and all of that stuff, the lowering device. The funeral home brought the vault out and set it up, and it was above the grave. Uh-huh. And so I recommended that Dad go sit with the guys in the truck off beside the cemetery. And about that time, 2 cop cars came in, unmarked cop cars. Uh-huh, uh-huh. And they said, both of them said, well, where do you want us to set up our videos? And I said, what are you talking about? We're not going to video this.
You're kidding.
And he said, no, you don't understand. He said, you're going to have convicted murderers, escaped robbers, escaped convicts, people that have jumped bail. Oh. He said, you've got a lot of bad people going to be here in just a little bit. And we've got to video them coming in and coming out so we can monitor where they are and what they're doing so we can make plans to maybe try to arrest some of these people.
You're kidding.
No, they were very serious about it.
Did you about have a heart attack? I would have died.
Well, I was standing there in my seersucker suit.
Oh, Lord.
And my little bow tie.
Oh, my goodness.
And my highly polished wingtips. And I'm thinking, I probably dressed wrong for the occasion. But,
oh, my goodness. I can't even imagine what they thought when...
Well, they here in just after those guys parked their cars and started setting up their video equipment, 2 big vans, like 15 passenger vans, painted green, and it had TBI on the side, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
No, and they came screaming up, and both vans emptied out, and the guys were in full flak gear, with helmets, machine guns, and they ran up on this ridge that was beside the cemetery and just disappeared into the Did
they say
woods.
Anything to you? They just jumped out and took off?
They just jumped out and ran up there.
Oh, that is horrifying.
And I'm thinking, this is not good. And they took off down the road.
The TBI vans?
The vans took off down the road. The road was a little 2-lane country road. At the end of the road was the Tennessee Highway Patrol station.
Okay.
So they set up down there at the end to get the guys when they come out of the cemetery.
Okay.
And that would have been a very bad thing.
Yeah.
So they hadn't been gone but a minute or two, and I started feeling a rumbling in my chest. It was a real kind of rough rumble.
Was it the heart attack you were about to have after seeing all those guys hop out in their flak?
Yeah, right. But we were right beside the freeway, and there were 5 highway patrol cars pulled up, blocked the roads to where nobody could come one way or the other. And here comes the motorcycle guys off of the freeway. There was about 300 motorcycles with 2 on each motorcycle. There was about 100 pickup trucks with guys in the back of the trucks.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't know if you've ever heard the term biker malls. It's the women that run with bikers. Well,
I'm picturing it in my head now, and it's not a pretty picture.
yeah, but they were absolutely gorgeous.
You're kidding.
No, they were beautiful. But they represented probably a 55-gallon drum of ink, tattoo ink. I mean, they had tattoos God didn't mean for you to put.
We love a good tattoo now. I do love a good tattoo. I don't have one myself. I mean, I about faint whenever I get near a flu shot, much less a needle. But
Closest I've ever got to a tattoo was those little Popeye tattoos you put on your hand.
oh yeah. The washable kind.
But these women had them, and of course the guys had them, and there were rifles and shotguns.
You're kidding.
No, sticking out everywhere. They were all drinking beer. Now we're talking about
I was gonna say they're getting escorted, right?
they're on the freeway being escorted by the highway patrol, and they're all drinking beer, smoking dope. They had pistols out of their belts, knives, guns, rifles, and they circled around. They all parked just the way they're supposed to. And they all started getting out off their bikes and out of their trucks and started kind of roaming around the cemetery and coming up to where the hearse pulled up. And 6 of the guys got out and took the casket and put it on the lowering device. And the guy's mama, little old country woman, and here these great big tattooed up mean bikers, and she just started hugging all of them, and they were all hugging her and telling them they loved her and all that stuff. And they started milling around, and you know, like Cub Scouts have their troop on their sewed to their sleeve.
Right.
These guys had their troop tattooed on their shoulders.
Oh my!
And it would say Detroit, Club 78 or something like that, you know, or Chicago. They came in from all over the country for this.
Wow.
Flew in, rode their motorcycles in, pulled their motorcycles behind their trucks. They were there for this burial.
Wow.
And because the guy died running from the cops, they were all pretty pissed.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they were all pissed. And they didn't appreciate the fact that he died what they thought was because of the cops.
Right.
When in fact it was...
I mean, he's running from the cops. He wrecked, and you know,
exactly.
It's a bad situation, but all around it's a bad situation.
Yeah.
This does not sound good. I bet you're really rethinking that seersucker suit about that time, huh?
Oh yeah. I was a bit overdressed for the occasion, but they had found him a priest to say the prayers, to say the goodbyes and all this stuff. And there's a lot that I didn't understand. And one of the things is I didn't understand that there was a biker heaven.
What?
Yeah. And so they lit a joint and stuck it in the dead guy's mouth. And they popped
the casket?
They opened the casket up. There he was. And they put a joint in the dead guy's mouth. And they were all passing by, however many, 500 or 600 people, saying, "See you in biker heaven, dude. See you in biker heaven,
Where were
dude."
you standing?
I was standing right beside the vault because I saw their guns. I knew what was up on that ridge looking down on us.
Right.
And if there had been a backfire on the freeway, I was going to dive in the grave under that vault.
Oh yeah.
And let them just fight it out.
Oh yeah. They weren't too concerned with you.
No,
at that point. Oh my goodness.
I did not strike fear in the bikers.
Right. I thought you rode motorcycles though.
Oh, I did when I was a kid. I rode motorcycles, but I was not a member of a gang.
Yeah.
I was a member of a group. There's a big difference between a group and a gang. But these guys were all standing around. The preacher said his deal. They all said, "Seeing biker heaven, dude." And they were standing there wondering what to do next. And normally we don't lower anything until everybody leaves. But they wanted to put the dirt on the grave. And I don't know if what you would call them, apprentices or novices or new members or what, they're trying to get in the gang. Well, they had them do all of the work and
So they lowered the casket.
We went ahead, put the casket in the vault, lowered it down with everybody there, which we
and all the drugs. And...
Well, what happened was before they closed the casket. They put a big bag of dope in the casket.
You're kidding.
No. And I guess it's like, they did for the Pharaoh.
Right.
He's going to need food in the afterlife.
He's going to need a smoke up or something.
Yeah, he's going to need weed in the afterlife. But they put a big bag of dope in there. And we closed it up, put it in the vault, lowered it down.
Now, that's illegal. What were you going to mention that?
I know. I might have said something to the funeral director. I don't appreciate them doing that. Would you know? I didn't do anything. But I asked this one young fellow, I said, "Now, who's the head biker?" And he pointed out at this guy whose back was to me, and he was facing that ridge that I'd talked about.
Uh-oh.
And all these people are kind of milling around, And I told him, I walked up behind him, and I said, "Hey, man," I said, "you see that ridge in front of you?" And this is a little bitty fella. He's like, I don't know, 5'5".
Really?
But he's like 5 foot wide, too. I mean, he was a cube.
Did he give you a little man vibe, or was he whip your ass in a heartbeat?
Oh, he would have not whipped my ass. He would have just pointed his finger at me, and 30 of them would have whipped me. But I came up behind him, and I said, "You see that ridge in front of you?" And he just looked, and I said, "There's 2 van loads of TBI agents up there. They're in flat gear, and they all have machine guns."
Oh, my gosh.
I said, "If you fart, there's going to be a bloodbath."
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, "If you pull out of this place and turn right, they're waiting for you down at the end of that road." And I said, "It's going to be real bad." Yeah. I said, "So when you leave, turn left, go to the stop sign, turn right. It'll take you over the mountain, and it'll take you right back where you want to be." And he looked and looked and looked. He reached in his vest pocket, because that's all he was wearing was a vest, no shirt or anything. And he pulled out a business card.
You're kidding.
No, he had a business card.
Oh, my goodness.
And I kept it for years. I don't know what happened to
I
it.
don't even have a business card. Do you?
And it said Outlaws Motorcycle Club. And it said, and he was listed as president.
Oh, okay.
So he was a big deal.
Yeah.
Even though
important.
he was a little man, he was a big deal.
Now,
I don't think that you get to be president of the Outlaws Motorcycle Gang by winning Miss Congeniality.
Right.
Okay? So my bet is that he did some hairy things to get there.
I would think so. It's not like a you take a test to get the role.
No.
That type of job, huh?
He handed me his business card, and he said, "If you ever need us, you call this phone number, and we'll be there in 30 minutes or less."
Wow.
And my blood kind of ran cold. but I knew that I could use that
I
at
know,
some point
right?
in the future.
Talk about phone a friend. That is about the best phone a friend I've ever heard.
But could you imagine them answering the phone?
Oh my gosh.
Outlaws Motorcycle Gang, how can we help you? And so, anyway, the novices or apprentices or whatever got through mounting all the dirt where they're supposed to. And I guess they'd been drinking a lot of beer, so they all had to pee. So they all peed on the grave.
You're kidding.
No.
What, was his mama still there at this time?
No, his mom had left.
Oh, good.
Mom had
Bless
left.
her heart. God
And,
almighty.
with the priest and the funeral director.
So it's just you.
It's just me. It's just me. And, of course, Dad and the two groundsmen were in the dump truck over there safe and sound.
Oh, yeah. They weren't, they knew what was up. They weren't.
And so I decided that, that's why I wanted to get on their side. Because I figured if things were going to come down, I would be safer with them because they had more firepower.
That's right. That's right. I'm with you.
But I mean, even the women had pistols and shotguns and knives, and I mean, it was a unnerving situation.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I would have already fainted before, like, just even hearing the rumbling. I think I would have had a fallout.
Yeah, and they weren't like what was the TV show American Chopper?
Oh yeah.
No, they weren't like that.
They weren't.
They were just a beat up piece of crap motorcycles that sounded real loud, and they had places for their guns and their backpacks and all this sort of stuff, and they weren't fancy. They were very utilitarian.
Right.
Because I don't know. I guess that's just their thing, but that I guess was the strangest thing I ever put in a casket and buried with somebody.
Well, I do have a question. After they all left,
Yeah.
did you see the TBI guys come out of the woods?
Yes.
Or did they know you tipped them off? Were they pissed at you?
No, they didn't say anything to me.
They just got their little vans pulled up, they hopped in, and they left.
Their vans pulled into the cemetery. They all came out of the woods, got in their vans, and they took off.
Wow.
And the video guys took their videos down, put them in their car, and took off. Nobody said a word to me. Nobody said, thanks a lot. You're a real patriot.
Yeah.
Thanks for your citizenship.
Right, right.
Nobody said anything. I don't know. I just think that was pretty cool. I had the guy's business card. And I forgot what his name was.
Yeah. It's probably something like Lawrence or some...
Kevin.
Kevin. Yeah, I like it.
But all of them were bad boys. Oh. Real bad boys.
That is just horrifying. So...
Yeah, it was. It was neat in that...
It's neat 20 years back looking at it. It wasn't probably that neat at the time,
No. Afterwards, I sat down in one of the chairs and just shook my head, and I couldn't talk for a while.
I bet.
Because it was pretty nerve-wracking. I mean, just to walk up to that guy.
Right.
Knowing who he is and what they're capable of doing without any perfunction. I mean, they would just soon kill me as look at me.
Right.
And they didn't care if it hurt me or not.
Right.
And it was nerve-wracking just walking up to him and making the decision to explain that to him, because he could have turned on me in an instant.
Oh, right, yeah.
But he didn't. And he was appreciative. And they did no damage to the cemetery. They came in orderly. They left orderly. And I could just imagine, though, on that little 2-lane road going over the mountain, some farmer coming down the mountain.
Oh, man.
And seeing this 300 motorcycles and 100 pickup trucks and all these people coming up and going, what in the world's going on
Oh my
here?
goodness. I know. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was something like when you are driving along and you come up on a big parade and you're going,
Right.
wow, how neat is this? You know, and it's
But like the opposite, more terrifying feeling.
Yes, it's like
a super scary parade.
exactly. But that's I guess that's the most interesting thing I've ever put in a casket.
Yeah. So Jess in Nashville, your question has been answered, and I think that was awesome.
Thank you, Jess.
Yes, thank you. So we are all over social media right now, and we actually got a question from one of your good buddies.
Yeah.
Sent over Jim Walnut, not his real last name, but he was wanting to know, why do they put fences around cemeteries?
See, I've known Jim since I was 14.
Uh-huh.
And he never has been funny. And he's not funny now. The joke is, why do you put fences around the cemetery? Because everybody's dying to get in. But we put fences around the cemetery to keep people out, because they got no business in a cemetery at night. And not to keep people in. Okay, we don't have any problem with that. But Jim's my buddy.
Well, Jim, thank you for that question, even though it was a setup, I do believe. So, guys, we really hope that you guys enjoyed our first full-length episode. I am just like in awe of Mr. Danny's amazing stories, and so grateful to be able to share it with you guys at home. But I think after this one, you're going to realize how critical it is to get your participation. So download that Anchor app, give us a call. We can put you right in the episode. Shoot us some direct messages on Facebook or on Instagram, and log on to YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, subscribe on podcasts, and we can't wait for episode 2. I'm so excited. This has been so much fun, Daddy.
Thank you so much. It's been fun for me. But I want to tell everybody, subscribe. Look, if this podcast doesn't make it, it's your fault. Don't blame me.
Thanks, guys. I hope everybody has an awesome day.
Thank you. See you on the podcast.
Beach Too Sandy, Water Too Wet is a comedy podcast featuring brother and sister duo Alex and Christina as they recap dramatic readings of one-star reviews written by real people with not-so-real problems. Whether it's a bar's no throw-up policy, a barista who's just too friendly, or a school psychologist's fashion sense, prepare for equal amounts of laughter and eye-rolling. Listen to Beach Too Sandy, Water Too Wet on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, or any of your favorite podcast apps. You can also find them on all social media platforms at Beach Too Sandy.